lunches this morning. Thanks everybody for joining us. This is our first of a slightly different version of our member check-ins that we had been doing every week during the COVID outbreak. We really liked being able to connect with members, and we thought this was a unique opportunity for us. So we have decided to continue on with these member updates, doing them, at least for now, every other week as things slow down and get back to a new normal. We may push it to once a month. But really what we want to do with these meetings is have it be an opportunity for you all to get any questions answered that you may be having, to talk about some of the bigger things that we are working on, that we're hearing about, that we are advocating for, as well as to talk to you about any opportunities that might be available that we need social workers present, both in practice areas and in the policy arena. So we'll go ahead and get rolling for today. So our main topics for today, we're going to do a quick overview of some of the most recent COVID-19 resources and updates. We'll talk about a couple new member benefits. Like I mentioned, some needs from social workers and agencies across the state of Michigan. I'll give a few updates about what NASW is up to, talk about some advocacy stuff, lots of training and networking opportunities coming up. I think what's been unique with this pandemic is it's provided a lot of unique and ever-changing opportunities for us to connect. And so that's been no different with us at NASW. And as we hear from social workers across the state, what you all are wanting, we're trying to adapt our services. And so we've got a couple new things coming up in the next couple of weeks that haven't even been announced yet until right now. So we'll talk about those today. Wrap up with some student resources. And then what I'm hoping to do with these calls too is just go through every time I do one of these and just do a different demo of a different either service that NASW offers, a part of the website, an advocacy opportunity, some of the more common questions we get from members. And so just to make sure that you all have full access to everything that you're paying for as a member. So we're going to do a couple demos at the end. Feel free to type questions into the chat box, share resources. Everyone's line will be generally muted, but feel free to unmute yourself if you have a specific question as well. Okay, so getting rolling, we just had a couple of the more staple COVID-19 links here. At the end of today's session, I'll do a quick demo on the website, but we just wanted to make sure everyone had access and knew about all of these kind of key players. I'm guessing you probably all do on the call, but the NASW-Michigan site, we've got a lot of specific Michigan resources as we're getting updates, whether that's executive orders, information from LARA, CSWE, or if we're working on practice things on your behalf, that'll be updated there. The national site also has a lot of information at socialworkers.org, and specifically they have some areas around practice, self-care, they have some student loan forgiveness options, and then ethics stuff as always. You know, we're directing a lot of questions, folks, to the state of Michigan, michigan.gov. That's where you'll find many of the executive actions taken and any information that's coming through the legislature. And then the last one is the Center for Disease Control, cdc.gov, for data and information about the pandemic specifically. So with that, I'll turn it over to Algeria to give a couple of our sort of policy pieces.
Hi, everyone. I had to take myself off of mute. I just wanted to give you a few updates. There were quite a few Medicaid proposed Medicaid policy changes and bulletins that came out this week, and so I'll go over those here for you. But as you know, Governor Whitmer extended the stay-at-home order through May 28th, but what she will be doing is slowly reopening the economy and slowly reopening various different industries and phases. And we saw that, I believe it was earlier this week, that the construction industry reopened, and we know come Monday, the manufacturing industry will reopen. And she also unveiled her 6-phase plan, Safe Start plan to reengage Michigan's economy. And so if you're interested in learning more about that, it's definitely on her website. And I would just refer you to her website to learn more about the ways in which she plans on reengaging the economy. But also, more importantly, she expanded unemployment services a few weeks ago, but now she's expediting those unemployment services. So she's only looking at, I believe it's just like last name and other factors just to get people through the process and getting unemployment services faster. Because we know that there were some delays for people to receive their services. But what I really wanted to spend some time talking to you all about were some of the proposed Medicaid policies that came through. So MSA 2015 allows now for audio only services for school-based settings. So if you may be a school social worker, you now can provide behavioral health services via telehealth, audio only for individuals receiving Medicaid. So that's an awesome proposed policy. There was also another that came out. I didn't put it on here, but what it pretty much does is it integrates the speech language pathologist and the I believe it is physical therapy individuals who work in schools with those who also do school social work. So in being able to integrate all of those school services in a telehealth fashion, that also came out this week. But another one is MSA 2028. And I may share my screen here so you all can see this. Let me just share my screen. Oh, well, Dwayne, I think you have hosting capabilities, so I'm not able to share. So anyway, that's okay. On our website, we have under the Michigan, oh, he gave me host capabilities. Let's see, here we go. All right, here we are. So if you all can see my screen, let's get rid of some of this other stuff in the background. We have the Medicaid bulletin that went out for service providers. And what this does is it temporarily suspends certain enrollment requirements for individuals to enter into the CHAMP system. And I would just highly suggest that individuals take a look at that if you are someone who provides clinical services. What it does is it relaxes some requirements such as I believe it's fingerprinting and background checks and application fees. Additionally, what it does is it changes some of the restrictions to the public health code for individuals who are practicing out of state. So if you're in Ohio and you need to practice in Michigan to provide COVID resources, you'd be eligible for Medicaid reimbursement here. So that is a Medicaid bulletin that came out. Additionally, let's see, I'll give the hosting capabilities back to you, Dwayne. Here. Let's see. Because I want you all to be able to see our PowerPoint slide.
If you just hover over my picture, you should be able to click the three dots and there should be a
make host. Sorry, everyone. So additionally, if you want to go back to Dwayne's going to pull back up the PowerPoint slide and share screen here so you all can see some of the other Medicaid bulletins. So additionally, there was the Children Special Health Care Services eligibility. So what that does is it removes the 90-day wait period for individuals who are looking to get on Medicaid, especially for children. So it removes that time frame in which they need to wait to get on Medicaid services. And then 2020 MHP rescinds the Medicaid work requirements. As many of you know, throughout the state, at first they were going to implement Medicaid work requirements, but given COVID-19, Medicaid work requirements have been rescinded, which is a huge win. Now, most of these are temporary only. So the first three are meant to be temporary. I'm hoping that the work requirements will be going forwards permanently. But We also hope that the other ones will stay too, but as of right now, we know that some of those are just temporary. So that's all I have on the Michigan policies. Looks like Dwayne is still looking to highlight social workers who are doing work right now for COVID, and connecting them to the media. So if you are doing any COVID-19 relief work or on the front lines, please get in touch with Dwayne, and help share your story.
Yeah, we've had a really great influx of positive media representation of social work in the last month, which is always good for us as a field. And we've had many different social workers across the field and across different areas of the field share kind of their experiences, what's been going on in a variety of different roles, from hospital settings to food pantries to mental health services. And so both us in Michigan and at the national level, they're looking to continually spotlight people right now. The Nationals has put together a little video. You can see the link here, and this PowerPoint will be up on the NASW-Michigan website if folks want to have the links later on. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we're looking for stories going forward always too. So, okay, so
sorry, I was just going to say, if people are interested in also seeing like where those Medicaid bulletins are, we have a link that'll take you directly to those Medicaid bulletins under our Michigan COVID-19 resources webpage.
Great, thanks, Elvira. So this call that we're doing right now is kind of a new benefit for members as we are adjusting to COVID-19. As this continues to go on, members have been reaching out for a couple of different things, and that has in turn created some other opportunities across the state. So one of them is our new clinical social work peer support group. So this started last Friday, and it's going to continue the first and third Friday of every month. So for anybody who's doing clinical work out there, who's looking for more of a peer network and support group, this is a really good opportunity to kind of share what's going on in your specific area of the field, to talk with other folks in clinical settings, to discuss cases, advocacy opportunities. It's going to be a different focus than what we're doing today. It's not going to be so what NASW is up to membership-wise. It's going to be specifically focused on clinical practice. I know one of the questions that came this week from a member that I think we're going to turn into that group is developing some sort of a procedure or guideline on how do we open up clinical practices safely after this is done. So what does that mean for you bringing clients back into your offices or your home? I think as a state chapter, that would be great to get all of your guidance on that, especially those of you who are doing clinical work. So those are the sorts of conversations that may come out of that particular meeting. Registration for that call is up on the NASW-Michigan website as well.
Dwayne?
The other new, yeah, go ahead, Max.
Yeah, I'd like to add something to that. The other purpose of the call is to provide an opportunity for those of us who have clinical practices to talk about the impact on ourselves of working with clients who are really wrestling with COVID-19 at the same time that we're wrestling with COVID and the whole isolation period. So, so that's more than discussing cases. It's also a very critical spot for us to share what's going on for us personally. Okay, I'm done.
The other new benefit that came out kind of right as this pandemic was kicking off that many folks may not have seen is that we did launch our directory of NASW-Michigan certified gender identity therapists. This is social workers across the state who see trans and gender nonconforming clients. We know that folks have very limited options in terms of who they see across the state, and it's been a concern of ours for many years. Max, I don't know if you want to add anything to this particular piece, but we have a certificate program that kind of ties in with this directory, but is now launched on our website under kind of our certificates area. We're very excited to finally have that live. So if you know of clients in your community who are in need of a therapist with experience with transgender or gender nonconforming clients, then this is a great resource for you.
I have nothing to add except that the consultation group meets on the third Friday of every month for folks who are working with transgender clients. And the training will begin again, hopefully sometime around June, July, or August.
Great.
Dwayne and Max, this is Christine Carpenter in Petoskey. Will that directory have a list whether people are available via telepsych, with now that we're all getting so good at telepsych? Living in a rural community, it would be helpful to know if clients can connect that way.
Are you referring to transgender clients?
Yeah, sorry, Max. So
Yeah.
the therapist who will be specializing with the transgendered in that directory.
That's a great idea. I don't see why not. Now that we all are using, or many of us are using telehealth, it would be a good way to incorporate it in reaching trans folks in more isolated communities. So thank you for the idea. As soon as an idea comes up, we can turn it into reality.
And on the registry, it does include the individual social workers' contact information, phone number, and email. But I'm assuming at this point, most folks are using some sort of telehealth, but that's a good piece to add. Thank you. Okay, so we have a few asks of you all as social workers, and some of them might be reminders, some of them might be new information. I did want to just make sure everyone knew that the Michigan elections are open until the 20th, so it's a little less than 2 weeks open. If you haven't taken a chance to vote, please do so. We've got positions on both our board of directors and our CCNLI, and student positions available. Every member here in Michigan has at least 2 candidates to vote on, so we ask that folks please do that. We'd love to have a really good turnout for those folks. The national office is partnering with Social Work Ethics Research Group and International Federation of Social Workers. There is a current survey out around ethical challenges that folks are currently facing with COVID-19. They're asking that folks, if you have found ethical concerns in your practice, that folks complete that survey. It's available both in English and Spanish. And again, we'll make sure that this PowerPoint is up on the website later today, so folks have all of these links as well. Our chapter ethics committee is recruiting here in Michigan. So if you are an ethics leader or want to get more involved in ethical considerations across the state, that group is our volunteer committee. It has 9 to 12 members. You do have to be fully licensed and have 5 years in the field, but we're looking for folks from all over the state, all sorts of backgrounds in social work, clinical and macro licensed folks. If you are interested in potentially being appointed to that committee, please feel free to shoot me your resume and interest letter, and I will send that over to the ethics committee. That committee looks at ethical reviews, questions and cases that come in through the state, help developing ethics articles and workshops, that sort of stuff. We are still also recruiting RFPs for the next year conference. So the NASW-Michigan, our annual conference will be next April 2021. If you are interested in presenting, we are looking for folks still. RFPs are open until the end of May. That got extended with the current pandemic. So would love to have your expertise on board for that. That's going to be at the Kellogg Center in East Lansing, April 15th and 16th, with a pre-conference on April 14th. Information about sponsoring and exhibiting also will be coming out in the next few weeks, so please be on the lookout for that. The national office is also seeking submissions for the Social Work Journal. So if you are a writer or doing research right now, they're specifically looking for research on pandemics, economic systems, and the future of social work. So a fairly broad category of research. Submission deadlines for that is November 1st. And the Social Work Journal, if you're not familiar, is one of your member benefits. So every member gets a subscription to the Social Work Journal that is primarily available online. However, any member can request a print copy of that if they contact the national office. And that comes out, I believe, 4 times a year. And then the last plugs that I put out this week, and I would highly recommend, so if anybody on this line is hiring social workers right now, or is working for an agency that is currently hiring social workers right now, we are really looking for you to post your jobs. It is a very bad time for many folks who are graduating right now to be entering the workforce. The market is very uncertain in terms of hiring, so we want to make sure folks who are graduating right now have as many opportunities, as well as folks who are looking for jobs in general, have as many options available to them. Posting positions is free on the NASW-Michigan website always, but we want to make sure that our agencies all across the state know that, and that they can post there. So if you go to our Career Center on our website, you can post any positions there. We've got a couple other resources for career development that I'll talk about at kind of the end of the session too. And if you've got any jobs that you are, your agency's posting, feel free to also type those into the chat box and we can put those up later today. Algeria, did you want to talk about this partnership?
Yes, absolutely. So you may have seen this in your email, and I just wanted to spend a little time talking about it. I think we talked about it on a few other calls. But NASW-Michigan, we're partnering with MAHACA, which is the Michigan Mental Health Counselors Association, and MDHHS to be able to provide a mental health referral system in order to close the accessibility gap during COVID-19. I know you all probably saw a lot of communication around the warm line that was being created, as well as the first responders frontline hotline. And so when we spent time talking to the creator of the warm line in the Department of Health and Human Services, we realized that there was still a gap in services. So individuals who may have Medicaid, they would potentially call in, need some short-term emotional support from the warm line. And if they need ongoing support, then they would be referred to Community Mental Health Association. However, there are some individuals who have commercial insurance, and Max, feel free to jump in if you want to add anything to this, who may call in, need some emotional support, but may need additional ongoing services and may be limited in their ability to see someone in their area, or may be prohibited by cost or things of that sort. And so what we wanted to do was to find social workers who will be able to provide just temporary pro bono telehealth services. The Department of Health and Human Services, they received some funding to create another support line, which they hope to be ongoing, and it's going to be called the Crisis Counseling Program. And so what we hope to do is we hope to have our social workers, counselors in this referral database that can be used across several different hotlines in order to help close some of those gaps. So if you are interested in being able to provide these services during COVID, please fill out the survey. We'll be posting that on our social media again, and another email blast will go out about that. Because we know that mental health issues are going to continue to go on beyond, a lot of the relief that is offered here by the state when it comes to COVID. And we know that there are many social workers across the state and who are ready to help provide those services via telehealth. And we're looking to you all to be leaders in this area. So that's what I wanted to talk about. But Max, if you wanted to go ahead.
Let me add to that, because we did receive a little bit of pushback or questions about, are we asking social workers to do ongoing pro bono work for clients who have insurance? And the answer is we're asking if you have the space and can see someone for a couple of sessions pro bono, if they need it pro bono, if they need it for free, that you let us know if you're willing to do that. However, we're also not asking you to continue with ongoing therapy for free of charge. So the costs for clients picked up through the crisis line can be negotiated by you as the therapist with the client. And if someone has insurance, you may choose to bill the insurance after you've done an assessment with the client. Or you may want to offer a sliding scale. So I just wanted to be clear that we're not asking that you do ongoing free service for clients that you see as a result of the COVID crisis. So I wanted to clarify that. Again, we're asking that possibly you'll pick up a client to meet with them to assess what their needs are and how severe or significant the needs are and the need for ongoing therapy. And then if they need ongoing therapy, you can negotiate from there. We're not trying to run your business. So just so you're aware of that. We do know social workers need to eat too.
Thanks, Max.
Sure.
And then I'll talk a little bit about some of the national advocacy updates that came through. For a while, as many of you knew, Medicare was not reimbursing for audio-only psychotherapy, but because of our action alerts and your help, Medicare is now reimbursing for audio only. And National put out a statement about this, as well as the Centers on Medicare and Medicaid Services. So I will put the link to just that statement in the chat box for everyone, but that's an amazing win. And I think it would not have happened. I know it would not have happened if we didn't have social workers engaged in those action alerts.
I think what we have seen with this pandemic too is that there's been some really good policy work and changes that have kind of been forced to happen that probably should have happened a long time ago, but we've been told, couldn't happen, that suddenly they can, right? And so one of the conversations I think that we're going to have ongoing, whether that's on these calls or on the clinical calls, is really what is the profession going to look like post-COVID-19? What do we need it to look like? What did your practice look like before, and what does it look like after? Because I know for, all of us, everything has, much of our services has changed. And I think as it relates to the policy side, whether it's billing or our access to client services or some of the welfare options that folks have right now, I think we need to really look long-term what's going to make best sense for our field. And so I think as we go through the next year and into our annual conference in April, these are going to be really important questions that we keep hashing out as a profession. So some other kind of political and advocacy updates. So right now, obviously, we're still in a big election year. That does not stop the pandemic does not stop our work on that front as well. We are currently endorsing candidates and looking at candidates at both the state and national level. If you are running for office or know of somebody who is running for office that would be good for NASW to endorse, please have them reach out to either our Political Action Committee here in Michigan, which is MPACE, or the National PACE. There are questionnaires, candidate questionnaires for both of those. We also have opportunities for social workers to get involved in those PACs. So if you want to help get social workers or social work friendly candidates elected to office, if you want to increase our kind of political capital as a profession, this is a really good way. Or if you want to donate and help us as an organization be able to make better advocacy in political decisions, those are a couple opportunities there. And then I did want to mention also that there is a free webinar coming up. We were alerted to this week. It's on May 19th. It's social work and voter. It's one free CE, and it's with Voters' New Healthy Democracy Kit, and it's talking about how social workers can help clients exercise their right to vote, getting clients registered to vote, all that sort of stuff. And we know that these are questions, especially that sometimes get a little bit in gray areas in clinical settings. So this is a really good session for folks who have questions about how to still have some advocacy as part of your work in clinical settings. Elzira, I don't know if you have anything to add about that particular training.
I don't. I think you covered it. I would just say the work that voting and social work is doing has been very, very helpful. They'll speak about issues that are specific to Michigan as well, because we know that Michigan is another important state to try to, make some waves for our next couple elections. So please join that webinar if you can.
Some of the trainings that are coming up, both networking and CE related, we have 2 Zoom sessions coming up in the next couple of weeks. On the 14th, we are going to be having a Southeast Michigan regional Zoom meeting. So if you are in regions 8, 10, or 11 through NASW, it is open to any members, but it's going to be specifically focused on the southeast corner of the state. That's going to be from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. on the 14th. Registration for that should be open later today, but we want to hear from folks regionally. What are you seeing? What supports you need? What sort of programming would be helpful for you in that part of the state? Our Region 4 had an event a couple of weeks ago. If you are specifically wanting to get your region, if you don't see something involved, please let us know or contact your board member who can help get those set up. On the 21st, our MSW student representative on our board is going to be hosting a statewide member yoga and meditation session at 7 p.m. So meditation and yoga is your cup of tea. Please join us for that. It's going to be kind of a self-care hour or so on the 21st. Again, registration should be open by early next week on that one. At this point, we do have our licensure exam prep courses scheduled for the end of July. Fingers crossed that that still happens in person. We're going to be doing that in Grand Rapids, in Detroit. And this is specifically important. We added 2 dates this year because starting in 2021, that's when the rule changes to require that all of your hours be complete in order for you, one, to be able to take your exam. So for anybody who's limited license or a student, it's going to change pretty dramatically when folks are eligible to take their ASWB test. So they're going to have to wait at least 2 years post-graduation to take that. So we want to make sure that folks who have their limited license now or are graduating right now have an opportunity before that 2021 deadline hits to get their tests completed. LEAD, the Legislative Education and Advocacy Day, that's going to be on October 29th. Right now, we are looking at moving that virtual, which would be a first for us. Many of the universities across the state are starting to already schedule their falls as virtual sessions. So we want to make sure that we are responsive to the needs of both students and professionals, not really knowing how far this pandemic is going to impact us right now. And then again, just save the date for the annual conference, April 14th through 16th, 2021 in East Lansing. We do have a couple of webinars coming up, all free CEs. Next Tuesday, we have our monthly Lunch and Learn on kinship care. And then June, July, and August Lunch and Learn dates are already set and topics are set. You can find registration information on the NASW-Michigan website for that. If for some reason you log out or you go to the website and you can't see those on the calendar, you probably just need to log in. For our members only events, you do have to be logged in to see those events on the calendar. The national office has put out a couple of trainings that I wanted to make sure folks saw, because I know sometimes those can get filtered through your email. One is actually later today at 1 o'clock on how social workers can help clients cope with loss of a beloved pet. That's at 1 to 2. It's a 1 free CE. If you're a specialty practice section member at the national level, it is free. It's $20 otherwise. On the 18th, they're doing a session on telemental health in a crisis. That is free for all members. If you are interested in these, I absolutely recommend registering early because they almost always fill up, and there is a cap on how many people the national is allowed to have on their webinars. They do record them, but usually there's a fee to watch after the live session. So if you can get in live, please do that. On the 20th, the monthly private practice Q&A session at the national level is happening. And this particular month's topic is minimizing liability risks. And I would imagine that it's specifically going to focus on cyber liability right now. That is also free for all members. It starts at 12 p.m. on the 20th. No registration is required, but it is a limited number of folks. So just make sure that if you're planning to be on the 20th, that you call in a little bit early to get your spot. Some other upcoming trainings: Uniting for Mental Health in 2020, Advocacy, and Voter Registration. So another voting kind of a workshop that is from 3 to 4 on the 28th. And then they did post, the National Office did post the recording of the COVID-19 Q&A session that happened a couple of weeks ago on ethical, legal, and clinical considerations. So if you did not get a chance to listen in live, you can watch or listen in to that now. Some of the other national updates. The national office is also having an election. Lots of elections happening right now. So you might have voted in one, either the state or national. Just make sure you do both, because we do want Michigan voices at both levels. The national conference, which was scheduled to happen in Washington, D.C. this summer, has also been moved virtual. Surprise. So if you're planning to go to that, they have moved the date. So instead of the 14th to 17th, it's going to be June 15th to 17th. They are moving everything virtual, so there's still going to be opportunities if folks are interested in registering and getting CEs for that. The National always has a really great program slated. They've got some really good keynoters set for this year. Yesterday, Nationals also sent out some information about dues flexibility right now. So if you are having some financial difficulties due to COVID-19, they do have some options for dues flexibility right now. They are allowing folks to take up to 90 days past your renewal date to renew without losing any member benefit. And they are taking case by case other options for folks. So if you need assistance right now, please call the membership hotline, or you can email them at membership@socialworkers.org. We want to work with you as best as possible. We know that some folks are out of work right now, and if that means being as flexible as we can, please make sure you reach out to the national office for that. Okay, a couple of resources specifically as it relates to if there are any students on the line, or if you intern or have student interns, or if you are an academic. We have our scholarships open here in Michigan until August 1st, both BSW and MSW level scholarships. They're $500 each. Please feel free to share that. We would love to have a really good applicant pool for those this year. We did announce our 2020 Social Work Students of the Year earlier this month. What those students are, those are every year NASW gives out a award to one BSW and one MSW representative from each social work program in the state. Normally, we have a really great award ceremony at several of the schools of social work where the students are honored with their family and universities present. It's a fantastic event. It's a really good time to see the future of social work. Unfortunately, this year, since the pandemic, we were not able to do our in-person sessions, so we are going to be doing some virtual celebrations of our student winners this year. All of their profiles are up on the NASW-Michigan website. We've also done some highlighting on our social media, and you'll see them also in the next issue of The Bridge. But there's some really phenomenal student work going on, and these folks are going to be our colleagues here in the next, some of them in the next couple of weeks. We had our first ever student Facebook watch party, was it last Monday? A couple Mondays ago. We had about 60 students participate, which was really wonderful. So if you want to kind of talk and listen in about what students are thinking about right now, how they're dealing with COVID, how they've been impacted right now, that video recording is available on our YouTube and our Facebook page. And then for anybody who's graduating right now, we want to recognize our social work members who are graduating, because we know many of the schools are not having graduation ceremonies, or they've done virtual ceremonies. So we're going to be doing some major highlighting of all of our graduating members here in The Bridge. We're asking folks to send over pictures if you'd like to as well. So please send those to me. We have had some recent updates on licensure. So if you have been on our monthly calls, you've heard some of those as it relates to how do you submit your applications, fingerprinting requirements, some of the exam option changes. Those are all up on the NASW-Michigan website. We've also put a couple of recent webinars up, including how to apply for your license, how to get a macro social work job, And then there are some additional resources available to all members through NASW. We have national and state job databases. In Michigan, we've put together a professional development booklet, which talks to folks how you write a resume, cover letter, what sort of words you use, how do you do a Skype interview, that sort of stuff. And then there's some other information through the national office, like workforce data, social work salary information, series about leadership throughout the field. And those are also all available on the NASW National Career Center. So we want just folks to know that those exist if you are needing additional support right now. There's also been several bulletins recently about student loan forgiveness. We know that the current pandemic has put a pause on most federal loans, but NASW also has partnered with an organization called Savvy to help folks deal with student loan debt and student loan forgiveness. It's kind of like a TurboTax of student loan help, which looks at all the different options that exist out there for student loan forgiveness and then tailors your specific need here. So if you've got a lot of student debt, this is a good resource for folks. It's very reduced price for members. There are some free options right now with the current pandemic. And there's also some information that National has put out recently about the Health Service Corps and specifically if you're working in substance use and rural communities, how those loan forgiveness repayment programs work.
Can I speak just a little bit about some of the actions, policy actions that NASW National has taken around student loan debt relief?
Yeah.
So we've received some questions and I just want to try to take a moment to answer them. So we've been told that there are likely to be several different COVID relief packages coming forward, and within, future COVID-19 relief packages, they're looking at debt relief for frontline workers. Frontline workers being essential workers, and NASW is continuing to work to make sure that social workers are included. Currently, federally, social workers are included as essential workers, but just ensuring that if there is a student loan debt relief package that comes forward, social workers will also be included in that. So you'll probably see some action alerts about that. We are encouraging you to definitely take action as it relates to that. So you'll see some more information coming soon regarding student loan debt relief.
And Algeria, you probably can just confirm, so with the current pandemic, most other business here in Michigan in terms of legislative business has been put on pause, which includes our own student loan forgiveness package bill that we've been working on. So hopefully once things get back to some sort of working normalcy, we can push forward on that again as well.
Yes. I think I mentioned in a previous call that right now with the budget that is going to be proposed to the governor, which the legislature wants to do by July 1st, they're looking at all COVID-19 relief work. And so if once everything kind of gets back to a space where we can continue to push that forward, we absolutely will.
Great. All right, so this is the time that we want to open it up for questions. So please feel free to type. I know there was a question about duty to warn from Kendra, but it looks like she has left the call. So we'll just reach out to Kendra after this. There was some other questions about assurance services. So while folks are either typing questions or feel free to unmute your line if you have other questions, I'll quickly do a demo of a couple sites until some questions come in. So in terms of the NASW updates around COVID, on our website, you'll see this drop-down tab, COVID-19 resources. There's a bunch of specific tools here, depending on what you're looking for, whether it's telehealth, student resources, training, national NASW, legislative stuff, all right here. You can click through those at your leisure. If you're looking on where do you go to vote for the election, you just probably saw that pass on the banner, but when you're on here, it'll pop up right here. You can just click on this link here, and then it will take you right to the voting option. All you have to do is click on your specific region that you live in, and if you're not sure, there's a handy dandy map that can point it out for you, and that will kind of guide you to which piece you vote in. If you're wondering how do you send an RFP for the conference, it's this first picture that just popped up, or right here, now accepting workshop RFPs. And if you click on that, it'll give you some details on how to submit, what's going to be included, deadlines, all of that good stuff. On the national website, you can see that the very first thing that pops up on socialworkers.org is the COVID-19. If you click on that particular link, it'll go through all of the different resources they currently have up, from advocacy alerts to telehealth to ethics to self-care. So please feel free to search that at your leisure. But what I wanted to show people on the NASW website, and we get questions quite a lot here at the chapter offices, how can I update my email or my address if I move? How do I download my membership certificate? How can I change my email preferences? All that sort of stuff. So the best way to do that is if you just click the login button at the top. If you don't remember your login information, you can click forgot your username or password. And as long as you know which email your account is associated with, you should be able to just reset it online. If you don't remember that, you can give the membership hotline a call and we can fix it over the phone for you at the national level. Just note, if you do update your password, it will take 24 hours for it to update in the Michigan system. But once you log into your platform, if you go to, you go to a couple things, My NASW. So that's your NASW portal. There's a couple things here. You can go to the My NASW community. So that's the national database of all members where folks can interact with folks, they can send resources, they can share information, ask questions. That's what that community is going to be. If you want to update your member profile, you can click right here on the member profile. And that's going to have a couple of things in here. You can update your address, so you're going to get a profile. You're going to see a little bit of my information right now. I didn't plan that, but you can check your own information and change it here. You can click on your communication preferences. And so if you want to opt out of some emails, you can choose that here, or you can opt into everything. You can see that there's a lot of different options for NASW emails. The other thing that I would make sure that you're signed into is at the bottom, you'll see the Social Work Smart Brief. It's a really good e-newsletter, and basically what it is it rounds up any news about social work nationally, and you can choose how often you get it. But if you click on the Social Work Smart Brief, you can even tailor that specifically to some specific needs. Once you get through there, I'm not going to do it. But you can choose your email, you can confirm, and then it will allow you to choose if you want news about just professional updates, if you want job updates, if you want news about advocacy alerts that are not NASW related, but broader social work related stuff there. Also in your profile, you can view your membership card. So if you're ever wondering what your member number is, you can find that right here on your membership card. You could also download your membership certificate. So if you need a new copy of your NASW certificate, if you want to put it in your office wall, I have one on my office wall, you could also download that on your profile through your national office. So I just wanted to do just a quick demo of that because it's pretty easy to update once you get in there, and we want to make sure that your information is as up to date as possible, especially your email and your mailing address. The other site I wanted to show folks really quick was the NASW Assurance site, and I know somebody in the chat box had mentioned that they are also having flexibility with your dues or your liability insurance costs right now. Absolutely. They also have a lot of really good resources around COVID-19 and telehealth specifically. So if you, and these are free even if you are not a policyholder through Assurance Services, but if you click on this Considering Teletherapy link, there's a lot of really good stuff here. Currently, they're offering free liability insurance to retired social workers. If you are retired and at some point in the past held a policy through NASW Assurance Services, you can get free temporary liability coverage if you are volunteering doing COVID work. We want folks to, if you're working right now and have kind of popped back into the field to help out, we want to get you covered. There's also some really good tools on here, like there is a telehealth consent form. You'll see right here, client consent form. So these are just templated forms that you can use for your practice. There's frequently asked questions around telehealth, free webinars, lots of really good stuff through Assurance Services. So I just wanted to make sure folks knew that those resources are also available to you. And like I said, these ones are available regardless of if you're a member or not. So please feel free to share this with your colleagues, especially if they have questions around liability right now or telehealth, because we know that that was some of the primary questions that we were getting the first few weeks of the crisis. But I just wanted to do a couple of those demos. Are there any questions about any of those sites? And Pat did ask, where can I refer to these presentation slides after the meeting? They'll be up on the NASW-Michigan website. So if you're on the chapter website, if you just click on the bi-monthly member check-ins right here on the homepage, it'll be listed there. And that's where we'll also upload the video recording. Any other questions? Max or Algeria, do either of you have anything else?
I don't have much. I will say just one thing you asked about other ways in which social workers can get involved. We do have several other work groups. One is our legislative and social policy work group. We'll be hosting that this month, actually, on the 22nd from 12 to 1:30 p.m. That is our committee where we talk about everything legislative and set our agenda and kind of guides the policy work that we do. Additionally, we have a criminal legal work group, which we have met before. We did not meet this month, but we will going forward. And the ACLU has reached out to NASW to try to help provide some recommendations to the Michigan State Police on how to handle individuals given COVID-19, as we see the rise of ticketing or police brutality, and especially communities of color right now who are facing, restrictions given the stay-at-home order. So we'll be looking to social workers in that criminal legal work group for some guidance on recommendations. So if those are of interest to you, please feel free to reach out and we can connect you for sure.
Max, anything on your end?
Nope, I'm good.
All right. Well, I guess that wraps up our first call, everyone. So I hope everyone has a good weekend. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right, bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.